NRL Fantasy round 11 is in the books, and it was a week of chaos. But I will say, for you fantasy coaches, don't be disheartened by it. You've obviously copped a few injuries, some suspensions, maybe some unexpected origin selections as well. It's not a bad thing, right? For you, the chaos is a good thing. So for myself, I jumped from rank 1600 to rank 900 this week. I'm moving up through the chaos, and you can too. We can make sure that we rise together. This is a time where, when things are a bit curvy, it's way better. Trust me, it's way better than the times where everyone's scoring 1100. Like, this is the time you want to play for. So, just quickly before we go into these fantasy scores too, going to talk about Origin team lists here, and there's a few curveballs we got to talk about. For the Blues here, Edwards at fullback. We got To'o, Crichton, Latrell Mitchell, and Lomax in the back line there. Campbell Graham comes in if Stephen Crichton is unavailable. Bit of a risk there that happens, but really not super fantasy relevant when it comes to this back line. It does open James Tedesco up, though. So Teddy now becomes a buy. At that price point, I'll tell you what, that 700K-ish mark, a bit over that, he's an option you can definitely look at. The Roosters are flying, but a Canberra matchup this week is not ideal. For the halves here, Mitch Moses, Nathan Cleary come in. Jerome Luai, obviously not in the picture there. Probably not super fancy relevant just yet, but it might become relevant. The prop rotation is big news, though. So Mitch Barnett, Payne Haas are starting, and on the bench is Spencer Leniu, Max King. Now, Maxi King, he's worked hard to get there. The other three were expected. That fourth spot was contentious. It was going to be Jacob Safidi for a bit. He did his calf. It was going to be Jake Trbojevic. He got knocked out. It's now Max King in that spot. Atoka Manu is the backup there. And big news, Terrell May is not in the team here at all. I think it's pretty crazy. I'd be taking Terrell May every day, and I'm going to go through Terrell May's stats in a second as well from this game today. But Laurie Daly obviously doesn't rate him, which, I can't put my finger on it. I'd pick in Terrell May. But for our fantasy sides, I will say it's good news, because Terrell May becomes that automatic captain through this origin period whenever he plays. Doesn't play round 12, but does play a lot of other rounds coming up. And Payne Haas backing up for Origin is not going to be great, especially considering he does have that quad issue that he's dealing with now as well. He is in some doubt for State of Origin. Now, at back row, Liam Martin, Angus Crichton, Isaiah Yeo. These guys are all pretty easy sells if you do have them. And then Connor Watson becomes a sell as well. He's made the Origin side. Spencer Leniu, Hudson Young. You could hold Hudson Young. The Raiders don't miss too many extra games. They miss round 19, but Huddy Young's been flying, so you might as well keep him. And playing off the bench in the back row, his minutes might be quite low. And then for the extended bench there, no one's super interesting there. We'll stay with Max King, though. If you are one of the 3% of top teams that got Max King, look, you took a gamble on a pod, and he scored well this week. You got a good score out of him. It was a pretty smart move. You got very unlucky, though, I will say. You got unlucky in this one, and his buy schedule now becomes an enemy to you, because he'll miss round 12, he'll miss round 13, he misses round 15 if he makes Origin, and then round 16 as well. Also, just loading up the news up front, guys. Jacob Carraz is out for about a month with a calf issue too. So he might be out a while, and it's probably Blues relevant, but Dylan Lucas is the other one I'm going to talk about here too. Lucas is dealing with a shoulder issue. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. Could be back next week, but it looks like that might keep him out for some period of time at least. On the Queensland side, by the way, they haven't named the team yet, but what I've heard is that Corey Horsburgh will not be in the team. So Horsburgh is going to be available to us fantasy coaches next week, which is red hot for us. Robert Toyer is likely going to be in the back line. So with Robbie Toyer in there, that's bad news for your center spot, especially if Dylan Lucas is out as well. We can deal with that when we get to it, but there's going to be some issues to deal with this week. Now, also Dylan Egan, by the way. So really sad news. I'm a big Egan fan, but he's apparently done his ACL. So that sounds pretty rough. They're doing scans and checking all of that, but it looks pretty brutal. I will say, young player. I was enjoying watching him just as a footy fan. I thought he was coming on really well. So, yeah, that's one of those ones that you hear and you don't think about your fantasy team first. You just think, oh, that sucks for him. Like, that's really bad news. So hopefully he comes back good. Whenever he can come back. Now, Tigers v Rabbitohs. Let's turn to this here. So we got Tigers with 200 plus scores. Absolutely crazy. Terrell May has done it here with only a line break assist in his attacking stat category. Absolute killer there. 63 tackles from him. 0 missed tackles. So no defensive deficiencies on show, as much as Laurie Daly loved to call those out. 6 tackle breaks here, 3 offloads, a forced turnover, 200 meters run, and yeah, just really such a clean stat line from Terrell May. This was unstoppable. And the crazy thing is he was on like 35 at halftime, and he came out in the second half and he scored a base stat 74 points in a half of footy. Just unbelievable. And he was going head to head with Keon Koloamatangi in this game, who has downdated down a little bit, but still a massive score of 83 points here. Had 50 tackles, 4 tackle breaks, 300 meters run, nearly set the record there, which is held by Jason Taumalolo, but he's got a top 5 meters run score there as well. So monstrous game from Keon Koloamatangi. Koloamatangi will be a must-have in round 13. He's played 73 and now 80 minutes in the front row. It is just unbelievable what he's doing in that position. If he's named there again in round 13, you're not going to not buy him, right? He's going to be a must-have. Ewan Aitken is the other one that will probably be a must-have at that point too. So 72 points, grab the try, but the base stats were on fire here. If you just looked at tackle breaks, tackles, and meters gained, he'd have a score of about, 55, 69 points there, right? So pure sort of game here from him. Just very solid base, very good running game. Karopi Coruscant is one that we'll talk about a bit next week. So Coruscant has not made the origin side, which is probably the one concern for him. He scored 2 unbelievable tries. The footwork on him was just immaculate. And again, it's not really fantasy chat, but as a footy fan, like watching him cook, I watched every replay. I just couldn't stop watching him cooking Latrell Mitchell and him cooking. Who was the other one there? I can't remember who stepped on that second try, but it was like he just so clean to watch. You love to see it. But for Coruscant, he could be the solution at the hooker spot. So we'll look at him in round 13 as well. The hooker spot is a bit of a minefield. He's someone that I might consider. Played 80 minutes there. They're not running Talon De Silva on the bench. That was the big concern. I'm tempted by this. I might consider. We'll see how Riley Smith goes this week. I might consider moving to Coruscant from someone else there. Now, down the list here, it gets a bit less relevant. So, Alex Twal, love Alex Twal, but not a fantasy relevant guy playing 50 minutes. Seyfarth there. Fanua Pole was out this week. That definitely boosted things. Seyfarth was solid. He keeps on going. Jai Arrow grabbed the try, so not as interesting to me. Dream Buller has been doing it. 300 meters in this game, 8 tackle breaks. You love to see that. Jamie Humphries went over 500 kick meters in this game, so he got the dominant kicking roll back. Humphries 530 meters. Latrell Mitchell 236. So that was good to see for him. But no attacking stats, no tackle breaks, no offloads. You need a bit more attack from Humphries to be relevant in fantasy. Latrell Mitchell 48 points. The running game was sort of getting better. So 4 tackle breaks. That's quite high for him this year. And the 114 run meters is a bit of a step up too. So he's moving in the right direction, but just didn't have the attacking plays there. Campbell Graham might be in the origin team if Crit is out, so not of interest to fantasy just yet. Luai is moving in the right direction here too, so the run meters have been a bit more consistent recently. A few more offloads there as well. He's throwing a bit more at the attack. Could be something we look at some point. Like 440k, pretty cheap there. I think at some point he's going to get hot, and I'm just sort of waiting for it to happen. Silva Havili grabbed the try there, so he loves scoring a try, this bloke, but the general stat line is not inspiring enough for me to jump on. Tola, Taruva, Galvin's there as well. Galvin nearly won that game with the try and unfortunately knocked that one on. Then Duncan Dewey, Johnson Tass, Hubner. Bit quiet from Hubner. 37 minutes for Hubner is not great. 6 missed tackles there as well. If you've got Hubner, you might be looking at selling him in the next couple of weeks, but you might have other issues as well, so maybe you stick with him. Then going to the list here, Stan Sullivan, Gray. Gray played 29 minutes, scored 29 points. He's pretty solid, but just doesn't have that role. Stafford Toa, well and truly a sell if you still have him. That was a quiet one for him. Bentley Haight, LeBlanc, Brent Naden. Yeah, look, we're down the bottom there. Nothing really too relevant to talk about in that part of the list. Then Raiders and the Titans up next. And the Raiders put 40 on the Titans here, but the Titans threw plenty of attack at the Raiders. And if this is what we're going to see from, by the way, just, the mug, little Western Suburbs mug, so the Magpies. Shout out to Clongy, Dad, who is a big Magpies fan. I sometimes uses mugs. But for the Raiders and the Titans here, crack of a game. Xavier Savage, we talked about him as a bit of a pod this week. So 271K is a crazy price. It's a crazy price for him. Look, we talked about it as a cheapie and someone who we were eyeing off, and I just didn't need the cash out this week. But man, he blew up in this game. So 3 tries here. The try assist, 2 line breaks, 5 tackle breaks, 2 offloads there as well, 150 run meters. This was rock solid. And you probably can't chase the points now, but he'll be around 300K, that kind of mark. So if you do want to get on, I'm not against it. Like, it's a cheap price for a wing fullback that you can put in your loophole And in certain weeks, you can play him. But the Titans matchup was a big part of the appeal. So I'm probably not going to recommend him as much next week. Hudson Young keeps doing that thing, man. Keeps scoring those tries. Had a try assist here as well. Three offloads, 6 tackle breaks, nearly 200 meters run. This guy's, he's made for Origin. He's made the Origin side. Don't go buy him. If you have him, hold on to him. Smithies is really interesting here. So Smithies has the 64-minute role, 70 points, 41 tackles, 140 run meters. No negative stats there. I think that's a bit of an inflated score, but I'll tell you what, with Nicholson out, it means that Hosking's not in the middle rotation, and it means that Smithies might get some boosted minutes. But the fact that Horsburgh is not in the Origin side, that probably hurts Smithies a little bit. It just means that, Horsburgh's still going to be there, and those minutes won't be consistent. So if you need a middle forward and you wanted a cheap middle forward, I'd probably take Smithies before I took a lot of the other guys that are on offer. Like, I don't know, if I didn't have Jazz Tavanga yet and I just wanted him as a middle forward, I'd probably go Smithies before I went Jazz. The role is just a bit more secure here, and that price is very, very similar. Then Fodawaker, solid but playing Origin. Tino, solid but playing Origin. Kale Weeks is coming good, but it's a bit too late. I personally don't rate him as a pod, but if you like him, you can jump on. Matty Tomoko had a big game, but against the Titans there, they put 40 on. Joey Tarpanay with the 58-point game. Sam Verrills, actually, I should shout out Sam Verrills. For round 13, we'll talk about him more, but that 80-minute role is very appealing if he does get that role. It did rely on Chris Randall playing in the forward pack for 80 minutes, though. Joey Tarpanay grabbed 58 points. 50 minutes is very low for him. We saw Corey Horsburgh come back. Also, a few other guys absorb minutes there too. But look, the 58 points is fine. Like he's pumping here. 2 tackle breaks, 3 offloads. Joey Tarpanay's he's a machine. If you need a middle forward, you can jump on him. Saying that, if you don't have Joey Tarpanay and you still have Corey Horsburgh in your team and you've held him like we've talked about, which I have, then Corey Horsburgh, he's playable this week. Like he's not going to make the Origin side is the word right now. It could still change in the next 24 hours, but Corey Horsburgh apparently doesn't play Origin, which means you can just keep him in your team for this next few weeks. Like he's going to be rock solid. Corey Horsburgh does not miss a game between round 12, 13, or 14. He'll miss round 15. He'll play 16, 17, 18. He misses round 19. So Corey Horsburgh's probably going to stay on my side for quite a while now. Just a rock solid option there. He'll score that, sort of 50 to 60 points every single week. Starling could be a solution to your hooker problems as well. So if you need a hooker right now, if you're desperate for a hooker, Starling's back to 80 minutes. It's funny to say, but he is back in business and could be an option you tear into. Zach Hosking, big game. I didn't love the 68 minutes, but look, 52 points is fine. We'll take that. No tackle breaks there. He'll break out more and more as the weeks go on. Fogarty 51. Do I need to say anything about that? Like that's just Jamal Fogarty pumping out consistent scores. Jaden Campbell 49 here. No attacking stats for him. Had 100 meters plus run. Had the 394 kick meters. Kieran Foran had 181. So 4 and 8 into those kick meters a little bit, but not in a way that is too restrictive to Campbell. He's still a very good option in round 13. Jojo Feeder, both Firma. Yeah, Firma base stat game, 45. You live with that. Tamale, 45 points, grabbed his try. We talked about him a lot this week as a hold, as a guy to start this round. Yeah, this 45 was fine. Like, in your wing fullback spot, you live with that. And this week was chaotic. Like you take that 45 from him, and you play him next week, and then you figure it out after that. Strange, solid, Foran, Jolliffe, Campbell. Yeah, look, Brimson bounced back a little bit. Brimson was hot at the start of this game and then sort of cooled off, I found. But at fullback, he's going to be a better prospect for fantasy. So if you have him in your team, you stick with him as well. Bahulu grabbed the try. Sami, Seb Krias, Mariota, Francis Paddy, Sasungi. I mean, Sasungi might actually nab some kind of position here with Hudson Young out for Origin. That could happen. The issue is that it's only for 1 week here and then maybe round 18. And there are other options like Corey Horsburgh can play on the edge a bit too. So I personally don't rate him as an option there. Broncos and Dragons. So for the Bronx, tough loss. And they had a loss like this last week too, where they were looking on top, they were looking solid, and then they just sort of fell off the ball. So yeah, for the Broncos, I don't know where they go to from here because they've got Carrigan and Haas both dealing with some injuries, and they're losing those guys to Origin. They now enter a period of the season where they're traditionally a bit weaker. So they could have some pressure on them at this point. And We'll see how it affects them. But for the Broncos and the Dragons, we've got Gutho with a big game. Gutho has these, I swear, every third or fourth week, I'm talking about Gutho as the top scorer. And this was it. 2 tries, a try saver, 2 line breaks. If you want a mega pod at wing fullback, you can get him in round 13 if you want. Like, I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. He can get hot at the right time. It's just about picking those times. So if you think Gutho's that guy, then have a look. I'll look into him in round 13 when it comes to sort of fixtures there as well. Payne Haas, he did that injury, but still only played 55 minutes in this game. So I don't think the injury was the main reason why he played less minutes. Had a line break in this game, 7 tackle breaks, only the 1 offload, nearly 200 meters run, 38 tackles there. It was a great performance in 55 minutes, but the issue is the 55 minutes. That sort of puts him a little below Terrell May, especially through this period. Now that he has a bit of an injury issue, and now that he has Origin as well, if we didn't have so many problems, Payne Haas would be sellable. Like, he'd be one that we'd actually think about selling. But we have so much cash, we have so many other injuries that we don't need to think about it. So I just hold Payne Haas and just expect less production through this period. Damien Cook played big minutes in this game, and obviously Dylan Egan went down, so that definitely boosted Cook's minutes. But if Cook goes back to these sorts of minutes, then in round 13 he's a red hot option as well. Ezra Mam, I don't think this is what you can expect, but I'll tell you what. A try, 3 try assists, 2 line breaks, 2 line break assists, 5 tackle breaks there, 2 offloads, 100 meters plus run. This is exactly what you want from Ezra Mam. And if you're a Broncos fan, you're happy that he came back and sort of turned up. But there's a lot of pressure on him right now because he's sort of been through a few things that I'm not going to go into it. But if he has a bad game, he's going to cop it. Right, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Then Paddy Carrigan here, 63 points, 71 minutes, playing Origin, no relevance. Val Holmes is playing Origin too. Shibasaki, look, we said you could hold him for 1 more week. He got that score. Pretty forward pass, if we're being real. I saw the replay of that one. Hectic Fred posted a little clip of it. But you know what? Shibasaki, you'd only run the lines that you were given, and he pumped out a big score in this one. So great score there. Jack DeBellin played the 40 minutes, good PPM, but not relevant. Hamish Stewart could be interesting in round 13. So 60 minutes in this game, playing lock. Looks like he will be the lock. So Egan off, as well. That sort of hurts their rotations a bit. So maybe Hamish Stewart does become this guy. He'll be pretty expensive in round 13, though. But the Dragons have a really good Origin schedule. So if you want to jump on Hamish Stewart in round 13, I'm actually pretty for it. But he's well behind Keon Kolomatangi. That's all I'll say. Jacob Little played 50 minutes in this game. So you had a little 50. You had, Damien Cook in 80 minutes there as well. That's where the scores are boosted. You don't expect that every single week. And, usually if that happens, you've got a reason for that sort of coming up a bit down the list. So, one thing would be Egan here. Egan playing 4 minutes. That was a big one. Pacifici Tonga only playing 21 minutes as well. That's less than what a lot of the other guys will get. Like Emre Gula, when he comes back, will take more minutes than that. But for Jacob Little, if he ever gets the minutes again, he'll be relevant. So Walters, I'll sort of speed up here now, guy, by the way. I'm sort of talking about everyone. There's just so much to talk about this week. Walters, Clemmer, Reynolds, solid. Arthur's solid as well. Flanagan, Sully, Jensen, got a few more minutes here. Xavier Wilson, back in the middle of rotation. Luciano Leilua, bit of a pod, 406K. He'll be a bit more expensive next week. Played the 69 minutes there. Didn't score well, but last week he pumped out that 57. With Egan now out of the picture, it means that Luciano is a good shot at playing closer to 80 minutes, where he can average 45 to 50. So again, round 13, interesting. Hetherington's in there. Cobbo, he's done an injury, so it sounds like a wrist he's getting scans on. Sounds like the wrist might be broken. That's a sell. Look, Cobbo's one. I'll own this one, by the way. I jumped on Cobbo a few weeks back. He did kick it off with that 55-point game. The issue for Cobbo has been this stat line is pretty typical. So he's been pumping out for me, 200 meters a game kind of thing, which is fantastic at fullback. The tackle breaks have been great too. 5 is on the lower end, but he's had a few games like 8, 9 tackle breaks as well. He just hasn't had many attacking stats. So just hasn't had that class to score a few tries or, have the try assists, more line breaks, that kind of thing. That's sort of what he lacked. So I jumped on him thinking, you know what, he's a machine. He'll go hard. He's a machine. He did go hard. Just didn't quite have that finesse. And, in games where the Broncos are scoring 26 points, he had no attacking stats. So that's the downside there. That's okay. You don't win all of them. In another world, another reality, he pumped off, a couple of 100+ games. But just not to be in this occasion, and he'll be moving out of my team. I will say, though, when he goes to another club at some point and plays fullback, I'll be very interested for fantasy because he works bloody hard in that position. Then Stags, solid. Laurie, Allen, Ricky, Sloan, Baker, King Tongia. Man, King Tongia, this is a different sort of game from him. So good and bad signs. Good and bad signs. The good sign here is the 244 kick meters. So a bit more kicking involvement is a good thing. The rest is not the best. I guess the other good sign is the Dragons won. So that's good news for the roster construction and him keeping his spot. The bad news is, 5 missed tackles, an error. Not a lot of sort of defensive stats there, and only 28 run meters. So really sort of lower volume stats there, which, yeah, if you've got him in your team, you stick with him. Like, he's got a good origin schedule, but if you don't have him, I'm waiting to be blown off the park with this one. So at this stage, I'm probably not going to get him. But if I start seeing those run meters get up towards 100 meters, I will jump on. Then Pacific Tonga is here with 21 minutes. So we talked about him a bit last week, and the advice was, wait a week on a guy like him. See if the minutes are trending in the right direction. It was 30 minutes last week. I wanted 30 to 35, maybe 40 this week. We only got 21. They gave the hookers way more minutes instead. So yeah, he's off my radar completely now. Brendan Piakura scored 12 points in 49 minutes. Oh, this is just. I love Brendan Piakura, man. Like he's got game. He's got game, and he's gonna get there. He's gonna get there. But for fantasy, he's just such a tease. Like he came out and pumped out back-to-back 50-plus games. Didn't get into the starting side this week. Played off the bench. Got the 49 minutes. Had 10 tackles with 1 miss. Had 40 meters run. Just didn't impact the game. And they gave up a lead in this game as well, which it doesn't bode well for him sort of coming on and not be able to, help them get to a win. So yeah, if you have Brendan Piakura in your team, I don't know, you had a few nice weeks there, but you obviously didn't buy him this week because you would have waited to see if he was named to start, and he wasn't. So, I mean, and just enjoy the wins and cop the L's. And this is the Piakura trap, man. Like he just traps us in every time. We've got to be wary of the Piakura trap. Then Dylan Egan, tough one again. Like obviously he's out for quite a while, so he's going to be a sell. But one we're eyeing off for next year already because he was a bloody stud this year. Now, Sharkies and Storm, big upset here for the Sharks. Great one to establish themselves as real title threats. Adam Fanua-Blake was a big part of it. 67 minutes, played a big role. He was a big part of why they won this game as well. So Fanua-Blake, very destructive, grabbed a try, 3 tackle breaks, the offload there as well. 32 tackles, only 1 miss, and 250 meters run. If the Sharks want to be a competitive team for a premiership, then Fanua-Blake needs to be more central to their attack. And we saw that in this game. So as a Fanua-Blake owner myself, who's been very, very frustrated for 2 weeks, I want to say thank you for this game. 81 points. That boosts his average right up to 56. But also, I think this is good news in general, just because, the Sharks won, right? So they're going to go back to this. They're going to keep trying this formation. And as much as there were injuries that helped his minutes be boosted, I think they need him to play more minutes for them to be more of a threat. I don't think they can be playing him for 40 minutes because it just sort of drops off the intensity. He's one of their big name players. He needs to be dominant through this period. So if you need a middle forward right now, I think Fanua-Blake is ripe for the picking. Jump on. I know it's after a big score, but he's gotten a bit cheaper as well. He's a Kiwi, so he'll be good through the origin period. I think he'll be rock solid. So yeah, good option there. And then I was happy this game. I had Cam Munster as well. 76 points. He's gone back-to-back 70-plus games just before we have to sell him. Although I may end up holding Cam Munster now. We've got, Dylan Egan to deal with, a few other issues as well. So at this stage, Cam Munster might be too holdable for me to move on. And, round 13 is tricky. Round 13, I probably end up playing. I was thinking about getting another half, but I might end up playing Cleary and Munster as my halves, which, they're backing up from Origin. So I guess Savala is going to be the backup. But it leaves me in a bit of a tricky spot there if I sell Munster because I've got to go for another half instead. So I might keep Munster at this stage. He's been pumping out, 4 straight games, 100 meters plus in run meters. And we talked about the 100-meter rule. I was very happy with that. The scores took a while to sort of catch up, but, he started actually pumping out these big scores. So this is a cracker game from him. In terms of stat line, try saver, 3 try assists, 25 tackles, only 1 missed tackle. So that's improved. 2 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 100 meters run, and more kicking as well. He's definitely been boosted by the injury to Jerome Hughes, who seems to be sort of dealing with something at the moment there as well. Trent Lero made Origin, so 60 is great, but not relevant fantasy. Kale Ero, at this point, if Dylan Lucas is out for a while, you might look at Kale Ero as a replacement at the center spot. So you grab the try, had the try assist there. Generally, a very clean stat line, 160 meters run, which is regular for him. 59 points. He scores a try every week, and he's just a machine. Cronulla should be great through the Origin period as well. Then Nico Hines, no attacking stats in this game, still scored a 56, so you can live with that. It's just a tough one with Hines. Like, we're getting no tackle breaks here, 1 offload, no attacking stats, big defensive work rate. 46 kick meters is really low. There's a lot of negative signs in this score, and he sort of found his way to 56. But if this continues, we're going to see a low score sooner rather than later. So I think he's well behind Isaiah Katoa in my rankings. I think he's still pretty even with Fogarty. Like, I just think he has a bigger nuclear upside than Fogarty does. So I personally go Isaiah Katoa, Nico Hines, Jamal Fogarty as my rankings. But him and Fogarty, they're interchangeable at this stage. So if you like Fogarty better, he's a safer option. You can stick with him. Mulatalo, solid. McInnes, 52 points. So you can't complain about that. Eli Katoa could be an option, but we're stacked at edge, so we don't need him. Itoka Manu in the Origin picture, so probably not someone you're targeting. And then Anderson, Coates, Coates by Origin too. Brayley is a pretty fun little hooker option, very stable, 46 points. I would rather, I've got Jazz there, right? I've got Riley Smith. I'd rather go for someone like Coruscant, who has that massive upside. It's a bit risky, though. He can score like 20 as well, whereas Brayley doesn't really go below 40 pretty much ever. So it depends what you want. Do you want that safety or do you want some upside? At the hooker spot, usually safety is better, by the way. I'm just a bit of a mad dog with that stuff. Then Nick Meaney, solid. Harry Grant comes back, plays 55 minutes, scored okay. Kafusi, Atkinson, Alpha Solomon, around that like high 30s area, these guys are. Talakai came in, played 59 minutes, scored 35 points. If he gets a center spot at some stage, he is a must-have. Braden Trindle, Nakora, a 32. Only 80 meters run in this game for Nakora. Dropped a few balls that were pretty crucial, where he got those nice little short balls and just couldn't hang on to them. Sort of stopped getting the ball a bit after that, so it's not great news for him. Sean Bloor, 31. Hamlin ULA, Burns, King. Pappenhausen back to earth with a 22 in this game. For Paps, stat line is not flattering, so no attacking stats there. Had the goals, a few tackles, few tackle breaks, a couple of missed tackles. Had the 2 offloads, but then had the 4 errors. 118 meters run. So 22 points, very quiet one for Paps. But if you have Paps, you got the 100 last week, so it averages out to a 61 average over 2 weeks. Wishart, Kamitha Mitha, Jerome Hughes with 19 points. For Jerome, it's tough. Like, only 1 tackle break there, the 5 missed tackles there, no offloads. 74 meters run is okay, but it's about 50 meters behind what you expect from Jerome Hughes, and 130 kick meters. So right now he must be dealing with some sort of injury because, Munster is the clear dominant kicker now, which isn't what we've seen in the past. So for Jerome Hughes, I haven't been able to pull the trigger yet. I've wanted to get on him, but I need to see that game where he looks fully fit and plays 80 minutes. And we saw one game where he played really well, but didn't play the 80. And we saw this game where he played the 80, but looked a bit rough. So Jerome Hughes, we know how good he is. In round 16, I'll be targeting him because they have buys in round 12 and round 15. So there's no rush to get him, but just keep on your watch list. He'll get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and eventually we jump on. Then Suafair Longo, Colquhoun, Kennedy, Chan, Ramian. Ramian did that HIA, played 14 minutes. Stone Street, pretty major ankle injury for him. Only played 21 minutes there too. So there could be spots opening up in this backline for Cronulla. Then Cowboys and the Seagulls got the upset here. I'm just going to do a little lap. I tipped this one. Also tipped the Dragons actually as well. So good little week of tipping for me. I've got Parramatta too, of course, but you got to get that one. I definitely missed a few tips too. I just can't remember which ones they were. But for the Cowboys and the Seagulls, Ben Trebojevic is the top scorer, which is just indicative of the crazy round we've had where Burbo jumps in as the top scorer in fantasy. 73 points for him, had the try. 31 tackles. He had the 5 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, a forced turnover, 100 meters run. He's playing good footy, Burbo. No missed tackles there. I'll tell you what, he's really earned that spot. And there were times where he sort of first came in, and people were talking about, oh, he's only there because he's a Trbojevic, blah, 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 blah. He's definitely earned that spot now. Like, he's playing good. He's a very solid first grade back rower. Can cover the center spot too. This is a good score, and he's got up about 100K this year too. So he's been fantasy relevant so far. Corey Waddell played more minutes, but really just great PPM from him to get 58 points in 44 minutes. Ruben Garrick with a 57. You love to see that. And that's a 57, by the way, with no attacking stats. So you got the 4 goals, of course, 24 tackles, good defensive work rate. The 3 missed tackles there, 4 tackle breaks. You have an offload. But the big thing here, other than the 83 meters, which is a bit lower, is the 4 forced turnovers. So he knocked the ball out 4 times. And, grabbed 16 points from that. That's a massive booster because that takes him from 41 to 57. Now, Ruben Garrick is one that I'm eyeing off massively right now. He probably ends up in my team next week. He's got Parramatta this week. Now, Parramatta played great last week, but they miss out on Moses and Lomax due to Origin next week. So Garrick should pop off in that game. And then he has the Titans in round 15 as well without their Origin forwards. So, yeah, Garrick has a good run here through the Origin period, plays all 3 majors. He's a great target. If you need a backline player, he's a good price, great target. I'll be targeting him this week. Jazz Tavanga played 58 minutes, scored 54 points. What a man. What a man, Jazz. Now, this is an awesome score. So the PPM was fantastic. He played a little bit of hooker, but mostly played in the forwards. Had a line break in this game, a line break assist. Yeah, the 36 tackles, only 2 misses there. A tackle break, 2 offloads, and 90 meters run. Now, this is a good score and a really solid indication of what Jazz can do. And we've talked about him a bit. His historical average at lock when he plays solid minutes there is that 58 in 61 minutes. So we saw that PPM reflected here in a game where, I'll admit, by the way, he was definitely boosted by injury. So if you jump down to the bottom of this list, you're going to see, Jake Trbojevic played 25 minutes. He was out with a pretty bad HIA. He looked okay at the end of the game. He's getting around. So, hopefully he's all sweet. Obviously, like, Jake Trbojevic has been around the game for a long time. He's not picked in the Blues side, but I would expect that he'll be back in round. I think they have a bye in round 13, Manly. I think they do. So he'll miss round 12. They have a bye in round 13. He'll be back round 14, pushing for Origin selection in round 15. Now, if Gerbo makes Origin, then Jazz is just an unbelievable option through this period, but it's a big risk. And there's a big chance that Max King plays well and Gerbo doesn't make Origin and Jazz stays at hooker or on the bench. It could be really bad scores there instead. So if you own Jazz, you stick with him and you ride the wave. You see what happens here. But if you don't own Jazz, you're in a bit of a tricky situation because you sort of can't really get on Jazz Tavanga at this stage. Like, this is where you've kind of got to let this one go. And as a Jazz owner, I kind of love this because you can't go and pay what's his price? Like, you can't go and pay 400 and he's 400 right now. So, 450K for a guy who might let you down as big as Jazz will. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But for big Jazz, if you're an owner, enjoy that one. If you're not an owner, it's very risky to jump on unless you're certain Gerbo gets his Origin spot back. Now, Lehigh Hapawadi, big game from him, 54 points. DCE, bit of a bounce back there too. Saab, Olakawatu around that 50 mark. Luke Brooks was solid here as well. Reese Robson makes the Origin side along with DCE there. Olakawatu is in the picture there as well, but should be available for Manly this week. Robert Derby, another big game from him, 45 points. He's had a few nice ones lately. Tiakiaho, 43 points, 47 minutes. Bateman with the 40 score there. Dearden in Origin 2, so not on the fantasy radar. Then McIntyre, Bullimore, Murray Talangi scored the 40, but Murray is now out with an injury. I believe it's a calf there. He won't be playing Origin and might miss a few games for the Cowboys. Tolu Kola, another solid game. He's made about 100K. Seems to be making that leap there. Very involved in the attack this year, which is great to see. Edwards, Vilea, Simpkin, Nanai with the 28-point game. This is what Nanai can do, right? He can have those quiet games where he just doesn't sort of rack up those attacking stats and has a quiet one for fantasy. Manly really shut the Cowboys down. So this is one where Nanai sort of went missing for you there. Then Neem, Leibart, Brown, McLean, Purdue. Let's talk about Purdue, actually. So for Jackson Purdue, this stat line here, 22 points, 22 tackles there, 5 missed tackles, 2 errors there, the 68 meters run, 72 kick meters, just not enough involvement there for Purdue. And he looked dangerous at times, right? So my take on this is I think he'll grow into the role, but it's a hard one. It's a hard one to back because he's 555K. He's going to drop some cash now. There's no certainty he grows into the role. It's a tricky spot to play. We've seen other halves struggle in that spot as well. And I don't know about the roster configuration there. I think they're better off with Purdue at center. So I don't know. I think it's a tough one. I would probably sell Purdue if I was you. I've got Purdue on my team. I'm thinking about it. I'm definitely thinking about it. If I can sell him for someone who makes a difference to my roster, I will do it. But he has a great origin schedule. So that's the plus side. And he'll also get that center half dual position, which is pretty nice to have there as well. I'm leaning towards a sell, but it's not urgent. If you have injuries, they're more urgent. But Purdue's one who he is at risk of dropping a lot of cash. And down the bottom of the list here, got guys like Cohen Hess, Tom McKaylee, Kai O'Donnell, Navale. Okay, that's all good. And then we have Scott Drinkwater and Tom Trbojevic, which is just not expected at all. And for Drinky, this is just one of those quiet games. Like he's a wing fullback. I don't own Drinkwater, but you guys who do, you've had a great run with him. He's scored some cracking games, right? He's pumped out some big numbers. His average is still at that 50 point. I wouldn't panic about this too much. I think the new halves combo is not great. I would look into it in round 13 and sort of play around with it. But if you don't have Drinkwater, don't buy him until you've seen this combination work with Purdue in the halves. Because we've seen so far this year, and so I'm going to take a sip from my drink and then give you a bit of a juicy stat. So I looked into the numbers. Scotty Drinkwater averages 55 when he's playing next to Clifford and 35 when he's playing next to any other half, right? So Clifford versus other halves, that was at the start of the year, Duffy, and now Purdue. So when it comes to Scotty Drinkwater here, what we've seen is when he plays next to Clifford, he has 11 try assists in 7 games and 0 tries, but a massive fantasy average. So he's getting a lot more ball. He's playmaking. He's that distributor. When he's played next to other halves, he's got 2 tries in 3 games, no try assists, and that 35 average. So it feels like maybe he's playing more of a ball running role. I'm reading into this a lot, right, for a very small sample size, but it's just a very interesting correlation to see that the stats line up so cleanly in that way. So I'm going to watch and see how he plays next to Purdue next time and the time after. And there's a big chance I just won't have Scott Drinkwater in my team. Now, if you have him in your team, you're holding him till round 15 at a minimum. And if you see a trend forming where it's really negative, you might start thinking about it at round 16 that you might sell him. But at this stage, it's only one game. So I'm not just saying it just to be aware of it, have it on your radar. At the same time, though, they got beaten 24-6. He's an attacking fullback who goal kicks. It was just not a good game for him. So it might just be a one-off, but just keep an eye out for that one. I'm watching for a trend there. And then Tommy Turbo, what do you say about this? Like 2 points here. Had 2 tackles. 6 errors is brutal. 114 run meters. Copped a sin bin at the end of the game as well. I don't know what to say. Like Turbo was in a lot of spots where he looked okay and he was getting himself in positions, but he's looked pretty hurt recently. Like he's not looked his full self. In this game, he had some pretty crucial drop balls as well. So I'm a bit of a Turbo believer. Like I think he'll come back, but he's been around the league for a long time. He's a lot of injuries. Just didn't get picked from Origin now as well. At some point he might be really cheap, and we look at it. But until then, probably don't jump on. At the same time, you could pop off. Like Turbo's one to watch, and you got to form your own opinion on this one. I would recommend going and watching the KO mini of the game, and just sort of pay attention to how he moves and make your own assessment there. That's what I'm going to do this week because I think Turbo is one that will have a part to play in fantasy this year. I just haven't figured out what it is just yet. Now, Dolphins and the Warriors. By the way, that was a Lord of the Rings reference for all the nerds out there. Bit of a Gandalf talking about Gollum kind of vibe. Sorry, I had to explain it. I kind of want to go watch Lord of the Rings now. But Dolphins and Warriors up here. So the Wires got up
big game for the Waz. Isaiah Katoa, 76 points. This dude Isaiah Katoa can bloody ball, can't he? Like he's good, man. Yeah, I can't believe he's in his early 20s. Like, dude's like 22 years old. He's just pumping out great footy and great fantasy scores, a 58 average. It is absolutely insane. He's killing it. Now, he's the number one half in fantasy right now. If you factor in that Cleary plays Origin and all that sort of stuff, Isaiah Katoa is the number one guy. He's not in my roster, and I'm devastated about it. And I just can't really find a way to do it unless I, force a trade and get him in and don't play Savala this week, maybe. But yeah, man, Katoa's in form. Now, this stat line here, 76 points, no attacking stats. On the back of 70 with no attacking stats last week, 26 tackles. You have the one tackle break there, one offload, 3 forced turnovers is absurd. 161 meters run, 429 kick meters. The 161 meters run in particular, he just gives himself so many opportunities to make an impact with the ball in hand. Now, the attacking stat games will come as well, and he can have some really serious explosions. So I might have to get him. I might have to bite the bullet. Oh, I'm so late. Some of you guys got on so early. Kudos to you. Kudos to you. I remember talking about him in the pods list ages ago and just thinking like, oh, I don't know. Nico will have those big explosion games. I just talked myself into Nico Hines. He hasn't been bad, by the way. He hasn't gone below 50 while I've had him, Nico. But Katoa has just been special. So if you need a half right now, Katoa is a great option. I would never talk anyone out of buying Katoa at this stage. Herbie Farmworth, big game, 68 points. Very captainable this week. Plays against the Dogs. So I'm up for a captain spot. Katoa up for a captain spot as well. They are probably two of the best captains for this week. But for Herbie, grab the try there. 8 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, 180 meters run. It's pretty straightforward. Herbie Farmworth does Herbie Farmworth things, scores you another 70. You live with that. Aaron Clark played 72 minutes in this game. This doesn't look like slowing down either. So Mitch Barnett is now picked for Origin. There you go. That's going to help Clark. Fisher Harris is on report and will face 1 to 2 weeks on the sideline. So that's going to benefit Clark there too. It could be really big for his minutes as well. The big hammer here. Hammer got a good score, but play Origins, no interest to me. Donahue, Unicore. Fisher Harris had a good game, but he might get suspended now. So he got that sin bin too. Like it's just a messy one for him, but he'll get to a nice price this week. So I'll keep an eye on him, but the Origin schedule is just not great for him. Now, Wade Egan. Sorry for that, guys. Wade Egan, 48 points. Got back to bigger minutes. If you got him in your team, you stick with him, but the trend is not going in the right direction. Pompey, Halasima. Man, Halasima, 80 minutes again. Scored the 48 points. Ride that wave as long as you can. Mitch Barnett playing Origins, so no fantasy relevance. Metcalf, bit back to earth here with a 43. Finafuyaki, Lemuelu, Nukarima. Jacob Laban played a few more minutes this week, 24. Sako, no attacking stats. Every week I look at him and go, oh, maybe. Nah, I won't do it. Kafusi, Nichols, Francis Molo, Avarillo, Kurt Capewell, two of us, Sheck. So Sheck came back in, I believe played wing. Capewell played center. Yeah, it's fine. He definitely played wing, by the way, looking at the stats. I'm just trying to remember back. But 4 tackles there, 200 meters run, no tackle breaks. Look, RTS will come good, but not fantasy relevant either. Stowers Smith is interesting. So again, I've got to root for my fellow bald boys, and here's another one of us. 230k. He came in, played 25 minutes, scored 26 points. Just a pretty solid base stat game. Forced a couple of errors there as well. Gave away a couple of penalties, but the dude hits hard. So I'm going to keep an eye on him, but I do think he will lose his spot at some point. Ray Stone, Harris Tavita, Nickel Clockstar. He had a big game last week, scored 23 this week. DWZ, quiet one there as well. He's going to lose a bit of cash. Kerr, Bostock, Graham, Valmunga. Valmunga had the HIA. Gilbert, pretty major injury for Gilbert too. Did his, I think his pec. Looked like a shoulder, that sort of part of the body. I'm trying to remember exactly what the injury was. Whatever it was really bad, and he's going to be out for a while. Right, so they're doing scans to confirm that, but that's a rough one for Gilbert because, again, so I'm a bit sad for a few of these guys. Gilbert's been through it. He's been through a lot of injuries, and he's a guy who plays hard. So you don't like to see that. Hopefully the scans come through and it's not catastrophically long term, but it's a tough one to deal with. Then Dogs and Roosters into Friday night.
last couple of games. So Nawani Tuase, big game from him. Very fantasy relevant, very interesting. Probably a bit late to buy him, but he should get hot through this period. Max King, we're going to say a lot of good things about Max King here, but he's in Origin now, so not fantasy relevant here either. Then going down the list here, Connor Watson picked for Origin 2. Good game from him. Nice little farewell for you fantasy coaches. Sorry, a little cough again. Sorry about that, guys. Then I've been a little sick last week. I'm sort of coming good. Burton, 56 points. Grab the try there. Burton's actually super fantasy relevant, by the way. If you want a half, he's at that 550k mark. I don't know. I mean, he had the dominant kicking role in this one. Goal kicked as well. 500 kick meters plus. Sexton only had 44 kick meters, so Burton went back to that dominant role. I like it. I like it. And this 56, he had the try. You could say, oh, yeah, he was saved by the try. He had one tackle break, no offloads. He didn't have a lot of run meters there, 82 as well. There's a lot of upside in this score for Burton. So I'll consider Burton this week a bit too. Toby Sexton, sort of out of the picture there. Without the kick meters, not as relevant to me, even with a good score here. Kick out, solid, but not on my list. Zeri, Marnie, Reed Marnie, if you need a hooker, 80 minutes he's been playing back to back to back to back. Max King making Origin as well. They've got, Karaz now out for a month. Like, Reed Marnie is probably going to keep that 80-minute role. So if you need a hooker, you could do a lot worse. Jacob Karaz, out for a month is really sad news. The 44 points on the way out. He did you proud. If you got Karaz, you got a 56.8 average out of him. He was a machine, and he'll be back, but it's probably too long to hold. Saw Wong, 44. Sandon Smith, Rob Toya, 44 as well. For Toya, great game from him. No attacking stats. For a center, 44 points, no attacking stats. You take that every day. But with the news that he may be picked for Queensland, we might be selling Rob Toya this week. So he'll be up, 502k it says here. He'll jump up a bit more than that. He'll be up to sort of 550k. I would consider selling him. I would pretty strongly consider selling him this week. If he's playing Origin, the Roosters miss round 14 as well. He'll miss round 12. It's up to you. It depends on your team, but he becomes pretty sellable. Jimmy Tedesco didn't make Origin. So, look, this score 43 is like, we don't need to break down Tedesco's stats. We know who Tedesco is. The big thing here is he's going to be pretty expensive. He's probably out of the Origin picture completely, unless Dylan Edwards gets hurt. That's really the only thing there. So, James Tedesco, I'm interested, right? And at the wing fullback spot, I've got one slot open in my team for this week. So, for round 12, I have one wing fullback slot open. That's all I've got, right? So I've been sort of saving it for Tedesco potentially, or a couple of other options there. But Teddy is looking like he'll be a guy I bring in this week. So I'll let you know what I do. Teddy is high on my list. Gus Crichton, solid. Collins, they'll both play Origin. Radley played 59 minutes, but they're going to be missing a lot of players. They've got a few injuries I'm going to talk about in a sec as well. So Radley is still a reasonable option if you do want him in fantasy. Bailey Hayward just keeps finding his way into minutes. Kurt Mann is now in the Origin picture as well. If Kurt Mann gets picked for Origin, Bailey Hayward actually becomes a very interesting buy. Covers the middle and half spots. He's been playing that middle forward role. He plays all over the place, but he's a pretty solid one. So we'll look at him more this week too. Harry Hayes, not as solid in terms of sort of scoring upside. I think Hayward has a bit more upside than Hayes, so I'll probably skip past him. Doesn't have that dual position either. Steep actually will score well for the next period. There's a few injuries in the Roosters side, so he's going to get big minutes this week. Could be a guy I look at. I'll have a look at how this sort of plays out, but I probably don't need an edge forward. That's the only issue. Then Kurt Mann playing Origin, so no interest. Nafahu White, he's done a bit of a knee injury there, so scored 33 and 44 minutes. Not a lot of minutes there with Lindsay Collins coming back, and he's now dealing with a stint on the sidelines. It could be a couple of weeks, could be a bit longer. I'll let you know when I have official confirmation, but Nafahu White becomes one that you would consider possibly selling, depending on the length of the injury. It's a real tough one there, because if you held Nafahu White this long, you played correctly. You played a really nice strategy, and you just got a bit of bad luck, which is a bit of a theme for this week. Dan Tupou, Billy Smith, Hopoi. Hopoi is actually, if you need a middle forward at cheap price, Hopoi is good. I think he's a good player. Like when I've seen him come on, he makes an impact. Look at this, like 45 minutes. He has 25 tackles, 138 meters run. It's a very solid middle forward sort of stint there. He's playing bigger minutes than Saluka Fafita, so I feel like he's actually growing into some minutes there. Max King will be out this week. Curran will come back, so he eats up a lot of those minutes there. But Hopoi is actually very, very interesting as a bit of a cash out option if you do need one. Savala, yeah, look, Savala kicked for 500 meters in this game, so I'm not going to freak out about this. He's doing the right stuff. This is just the bottom end of his sort of scoring spectrum. I'll probably start him next week, but tough game. They got Cronulla, and Cronulla will be in full strength. The Roosters will be very under strength. So it could be another tough game, but I think Savala should be good for like a 35. I could upgrade to Isaiah Katoa. I'll have a think about it. I won't sell Savala, by the way. I'll sell someone else and just play them over Savala. Then Morin, Tracy, Lenu, Stephen Crichton with really quiet scores in that sort of 20 area. Egan Butcher, Montoya. Then we get down to Smith, Docker Clay, Saluka Fafita. Man, Saluka Fafita, 3 points in this one. Did the HIA. 0 the week before. Like, he's had a lot of quiet fantasy performance recently, and he'll be very cheap. Then Knights v Eels, last game of the round. So Parramatta smashed Knights in this game. And for Para, Zach Lomax led the way. And look at this list, actually. So what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the top 9 fantasy scorers in this game were Parramatta players. The one Knight in the top 9, and the Knights are popular. So this hurts. This hurts all of us. But it's Kai Pearce-Paul, who I have in my team. Now, Kai Pearce-Paul, 58 points here. He was pumping. He was going to score 75. And the dummy got himself sin binned. Just enraging. Like, he was playing great footy, and then he got himself sin binned and copped himself, minus 7 points there on the stats, plus not playing 10 minutes there as well. So the minus 7 would have taken him to 65, and the extra 10 minutes might have taken him to like 75. So he was set for a massive score, and 58 is still good, but it was going to be huge there for Kai Pearce-Paul. Now, jumping to the top here, Zach Lomax, 67 points. He was pumping 2 tries in this game, 271 run meters. Phenomenal footy here. It was my vote on Talking Para podcast of Man of the Match. He's an absolute killer. Playing Origin, so not relevant fantasy. Mitch Moses is the same. Moses got 62. Was a demon in defense in this game and just absolutely dominated in this game. But again, playing Origin, no relevance there. Jack Williams, some great footwork. The Knights are really struggling right now, but Williams was cooking in this game and got a 62. Not a guy I'll be targeting because Parramatta don't get impacted by Origin too much. Kautonga, 58. And again, a very stable stat line. So no attacking stats here. 36 tackles, only 1 miss, 3 offloads, only 1 error. You got the 120 run meters. Kautonga is actually forging into a guy that could be a keeper at the center spot. So if you've got him, you stick with him for a while. A lot of people, including me, sold a bit too early. You're just thinking he was a bit too unreliable, a bit too inconsistent. I sort of thought, we got Rob Toya, we got Dylan Lucas, we got Herbie Farmworth. I have too many centers for round 12 is what I said. And now, look, I have none of them, and I don't have Kautonga. So, it's a tough one to read into. You just can't make those judgments too early. And you got to laugh at yourself when you make these mistakes. But, yeah, Kautonga's a killer, man. As a Para fan, I'm loving him. He'll keep pumping out 80 minutes. If you got him in your team, stick with him. Penasini, bit of a bounce-back game. He got really cheap, but we just don't need cheap centers right now. So, not really relevant here. 180 meters run. 9 tackle breaks, 2 try assists, but the 5 errors is very concerning for his form. Dylan Brown, again, solid without being inspirational, so not jumping on him. Dylan Walker, solid there too. Addo Carr's been in great form, but too expensive now. Brody Jones, Junior Paulo, Kellen Ponga sort of came back with a vengeance in this game, right? And this was an encouraging performance, but the issue is that he'll probably play Origin now. He's almost certainly playing Origin. So even though he did pump out that 250 run meters, 6 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, I would, if he didn't make Origin, I would have been saying this is the perfect performance. Like this is him, willing the result there, giving his body to the game, like throwing himself at it. I'm impressed by these stats. I'm impressed by he played a bit tougher this week, and now he plays Origin, so you probably don't hold him. You probably sell him at this stage, but at that price, you got a lot of other options to sell. I'm not desperate to sell him compared to some of the injured players. So, have a look at your team and sort of decide what you need to do. Dylan Lucas, 42. So copped that injury, that shoulder issue. Copped it early, but played out the game. Played at center in this game. So I'm not going to read into the stats here. But in general, he averages about 50 at center. I don't know what that shoulder is. If Dylan Lucas is out for a couple of weeks, you hold him. But if it's a long time, you'll have to sell. And if he stays in the team, obviously you hold on to him at this stage. Then Gamble, Samrani. Samrani grabbed a try in this one. Samrani is actually a bit of a beast, by the way. Only playing at center, but he might get that dual position for edge forward as well. Could be a guy that evolves as the year goes on. So I've got an eye on him, but it's a tough one. Parramatta don't have the best buy schedule. Then Riley Smith went off a bit early, bit of a calf cramp kind of deal. Doesn't sound like it was anything catastrophic. The stat line here is pretty funny. So 38 tackles, 38 points, 9 run meters. That's it. So no stats really except for the 38 tackles. No missed tackles, which is encouraging. Good defensive effort. But he just made his tackles and delivered the ball to Moses and let the outside backs run free. Jermaine Hopgood, bigger minutes, 48 minutes, but only 36 points. So no interest there. Then Gagai, Frizzell, Madison came back, but only 29 minutes. Schiller, Sharp here. Sharp really quiet. The big stat I want to point you to is the 44 meters run. That's his lowest meters run of the year. Newcastle were pretty hopeless. I guess Sharp was a part of that. He lost Bradman Best, and he had Lucas move out to center, so that edge was not as potent. My concern here is that Best being away from that edge makes that edge less of a focal point, and that means Sharp gets a bit less ball, a few less running lanes without Best there as well. You know what I mean? Like, it could be the beginning of a bit of a downhill. So I'm not going to overreact just yet, but I am a bit concerned here. And I will think about selling Sharp in round 16 after his first 2, major buy rounds that he plays, if this is a trend. But until then, it's just something to be aware of. Just have a look out for it. Right now, I'm not reading into it, but I've got my eyes on it. Then Jacob Safidi did a calf injury, so that's hurt you as a fantasy coach, but he was probably going to make Origin anyway, so you're pretty stuffed either way. Moretti, Thomas Cant came in, really quiet game from Cant. 8 missed tackles is pretty brutal there. Croker, Russell, Elliott, Crossland, Yongi scored the 23. You'd think in a win he might have scored better, but he's had some good games recently as well. So you play him this week, and then you probably sell him in round 13. Then Matt Ailey, Jaden Braley, and Fletcher Hunt. So that's the review of the games there. Just in terms of trades for this week, I really want to hammer this, guys. So for your team here, you can only play your starting 13 this week and next week, right? So major and minor buy rounds. So rounds 12, 13, rounds 15, 16, and rounds 18, 19. So you guys probably know that already, but I just really want to hammer that. Only your starting 13. Now, loopholes work the same. So if you have like a player who's not playing in your starting middle forwards and you have a middle forward on your bench, it'll be the top middle forward that comes into the team. But starting 13, the big thing here is, when you're doing your trades this week, guys, you want to think about, all right, what position do I need, right? So for my team, you can see I've got pretty good coverage, like Pierce Paul, Hosking, Riley Smith there. So edge back row, hookers covered. I got Hosking, Tarpanay, Fanua Blake in the middle there. Jazz Tavanga as well. So I've kind of got too much up there. And then, Lucas and Farmworth potentially in the centers. Tamale and Sharp in the back line there as well. Hines and Savala in the halves. So I really need a wing fullback. So that's what I'd be targeting. And you just jump across to the right here and, just start thinking about that, right? Stop playing around and go, oh, well, Kraz doesn't play. Drinkwater doesn't play. Kraz doesn't play. Okay, it's probably, Tedesco, right? Or Latrell doesn't play. Paps, Hammer don't. Lomax doesn't. Maybe it's Garrick, right? So you start to have a play around with that. That's sort of what you want to look for. We'll go through buy, hold, sell this week as well. The other thing with the video this week, we'll do a sell type video. So there's a lot of options that are injured, suspended, pick for Origin. What I'm planning this week is a bit of a sell tiers type video. So working through, the tier 1 sells where they're guys that you have to sell. They're done for. Tier 2, tier 3, going through the lower urgency sell options, right? So a Jackson Purdue might be a tier 3 instead. Whereas, Dylan Egan is a tier 1, like he's gone, right? So I'll put that together this week too, because I think a lot of you guys are going to be looking at prioritization of who you move on and who you keep. Like even for my team, my plan was to sell Cam Munster, but now I have Dylan Egan to deal with, who now becomes the priority sell, as well as Sell and Cobbo there. So thank you guys for jumping on. Crazy week, a long chat here. There's a lot to talk about. Hopefully this is relevant. We put together a bunch more sort of quicker, more polished videos through the week too. But this one's a bit of a long-winded chat. You get to work through it with me. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Good luck this week.